Okay, so this is your feedback. Maybe this is how we'll do it. I'll send you a video and you can watch it and then you can do the stuff in the video or whatever, but it's going to be really hard to add this onto my regular job, sort of, just so you know. Okay, so first problem, I don't know, I'll probably mostly point out problems more than praising you. You're doing good work, but I'm going to help you get you to where you need to be in a lot of ways, and that will be dealing with people who are they see problems first, and problems are what you need to fix. First of all, your naming just is not good. Like, this is not helpful. I would put down your proofs into a separate folder that have the date on them. Uh, Mood board is fine, but maybe have a JPEG of it. Who That doesn't really matter. But styleframes.ai is way too fucking vague. Like that, you don't know what that is. You have to. I know you're gonna be in the folder or whatever, but it's a bit of a problem because it just says the name of the file with no real information. So add the cooler posters. They're not style frames. They're totally different. Okay, fonts that are missing. You can use all the fonts you want, but clients will get super pissed if they can't actually do anything. And if you send this to a printer, they can't print it if they don't have the font. Like, then you're fucked, and then they're behind, and then it can throw off a whole schedule. So you got to get the font stuff organized, or you got to break it down into outlines so the font is not an issue anymore. You said you added them just now, and that's fine. But you can see this is a pain in the butt to try to come through here and to try to find the right font. Okay. Starting to get a little bit sketchy with the fonts. I know we're going for a style and a era, but it's getting too scary. Harold's still not there. Doesn't matter. I'm going to keep moving on. Okay, so one thing that happened was your color mode wasn't CMYK. I've already opened up the file and I decided I was just going to make a video because it'd be easier for the both of us. It wasn't CMYK, and when it's like that, it doesn't. You don't have options to see what the real colors of things are, and you can see that this is kind of muted and on this monitor. Maybe on your monitor it's not because it's not color calibrated or whatever, but that can be a problem, just knowing where you're doing whatever. We're going to print it, so CMYK is not bad. The only real problem for me is that I don't have access to my color proofing things that I'm used to. I really just want to be able to color proof this. I really do. And I'm not able to unless I go into here and put it on. It doesn't matter. But now I can see what the real colors are, because always I'm thinking about animation because that is my field of work. I don't concern myself with CMYK. You will need to. That is part of your job. But what was going on was when I first opened the file, this cooler, like this background was super blue and the rest, like everything else, was muted. So my guess is that this background there's something weird going on with it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is that everything is way too close together. Like, I don't know how it works for you, but I can't focus on one poster at a time because the next poster is right next to it and it gets really intense. So you either need to take that into account when you're making it or start like spreading out your artboards. You can rearrange artboards. I'll try to keep it the same, and I'm gonna make this like I'm going to give it plenty of room. But the problem is if your stuff is not on the right layer and the right artboard, this is what's going to happen. So for right now, we're kind of screwed into this zone, which is bad because I can't see. I have to turn layers on and off, and that's fine for some people, but not fine for me. Okay. So I'm doing this to turn everything off, but you can still see this like chunk of white is really hard to see around, see past, and see through because it's affecting what your brain can see and how it processes the information. But looking at this, there's still, I'd say, 2 times as many twice as many 2 stars. I have a layer here that I will just call markups. And this is another note from another thing, but okay. Reduce stars by half. That's your first task. The next task is to probably, you need to decide if you're making a poster for the place or the product. This is a poster for the place and the product and a mascot, it feels like, which is a little bit different than the most efficient way to do. So, okay, by stars, I mean stars, circles, sprites, whatever the hell you want to call them. I don't know. These, oh. Alright, these stars in the background they're only in this star, so I don't know if this is part of the font. Maybe it is part of the font. It is part of the font. Okay. It just doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look good. So what you can do, if you like everything else, there's so much stuff that I guess we just never got to, and that's fine, but it's really, really hard for me to try to teach you stuff that I would have hoped you knew before you started. Anyways, inside of the type tool, you have a thing called touch type. And touch type lets you affect one letter at a time, which can be very nice, so you don't have to go and relabel and remove everything, and you can get a little bit more organic spacing on certain things because you can see that it's affecting the letters afterwards still. This is just it's kind of like doing the kerning or something. I don't know exactly what you call it, but I don't need to because I know what it does, and that's fine. The crossover on the T is really just not looking great to me right here. Okay, so say you're going to keep this, but you don't want that star in there. So inside of your type, you can convert to outlines, and now those outlines are shapes, and you can start deleting some of this stuff out. But really you should probably cut it and paste it, and you should maybe use this element because it's already in the font or something, who knows. There's a problem here when you have, oh, okay, this stuff always needs to be a group. Always. Don't just have it floating off on its own because it'll fuck you up. So you've got 3 shapes of stars, which is just too much in my opinion for this. Way too much. Looking at the references, I'm going to go through and try to find one that I think fits with what you're going for. Okay. This may be confusing, but this is just a stars pack. This is not like a real design. So maybe you're seeing that many stars in different types and that's what you're wanting to do. But usually when you look at these things, they've got 1 star. So this star is in black, this star in white. These are hand drawn, but they have these spritz ones and then dot ones. Maybe 1 to 2. Who knows? There's no rules, but what's existing on yours are not uniform. 1 star form. Okay. All right. This one has more, but I would say that this is too far. You either need to have them all be unique. That's why this one I would say is maybe working, because these are unique. This is like spritz. This is a starry spritz that's skinnier. This is there's no circles on the tips, and this is just the star. It either needs to be consistent or all unique. 70s flower. These look like the same, just one scaled differently. This is someone's project, and I really don't like these stars. Like, these are kind of gross looking, kind of bad. Look more like shark teeth biting than a star. But I think what's going on is that you're relying too much on some of these designy things. It's not working. Okay, here. The only thing they have, I'm not counting this because that's a different portion. They have stars, and these are hand-drawn stars. So as long as they're each unique, it's okay. But you can't have like exact clones, because it starts to look really shitty. It just doesn't work. Okay, maybe I'm at the end of your references, and that's fine. Okay, so I guess you were making some of your stars on another poster from these. These don't look... I mean, these look better, but they don't look great, honestly. And you know what? You can probably make these by quickly coming in here and doing like a circle and then effect. Like, this is super fast, super easy, tons of different ways to get different shapes and like start building this. Now that you have one, you can go and you can change the zigzag. Maybe you want more ridges. Maybe you want less. But they are all having like, they feel related sort of, more so than these. These feel very different to me. Not consistent, and that's a huge problem right here. Okay, the color, well, let's talk about colors on this one. Colors are just not really working, I would say. They're very, very rough. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of this one, and I'm gonna swap in the one that I did. Okay, so mine, this one will never be a problem because it's not a font anymore, it's shapes. So you can send that to a printer, they'll be able to print it just fine. It's no big deal. With these, I'm gonna make these style frames hyphen markup. That's just shitty. You're not gonna know what's going on. Okay, yeah, this is really, really hard for everyone, I think. I'll do small notes on things. So what I said here, just like giving yourself more space on your artboards, give yourself space on your designs. They can be related, but give them space. Like, they don't need to be right next to each other because you can't really tell the difference, but if you put them on their own artboard, you will be able to tell the difference. Or I will be able to. A client will be able to. But when you look at this, even if I turn everything else off and just look at this, like, it's still really hard to know what's going on. Is this like one thing or the other? I don't really know for sure. So that's why I said make these into two separate shapes. Alright, this one, it looks much better now that you've changed the color. But there's still too many of these things floating around like randomly. Okay, it kind of, this revamp looks kind of like snow, I would say. But biggest problem is when you have like Like, these two are exactly the same. This is the same, this is the same, they're not even rotated, and that is painful. People can see that. Everyone can see that. So I would not ever do that. Like, never do that. Uh, let's talk about this. Okay, so the cooler drink, it's shaved ice. I think you're kind of drawing snow cones too much. This is probably what they would say if they were your actual client, is that they want something more, that looks more unique and on brand with what their food is. So no matter what, like, save what you have here, do a new file, and then do it a different way. And the different way meaning this is what you're going to be making and not these, because these definitely look like snow cones more than snowballs, I would say. I kind of like, I don't know. It's hard. It's definitely hard. It's not easy. I think this is bent and distorted too much. It feels like, I understand you're trying to get it to match the circle, but that's just not a good design decision. You should try to make the logo. Like, this looks better if you're making the cooler snowballs. But still, this as a logo, like, usually logos you want to be able to break down into a black and white watermark. So, like, a black and white watermark. So at any resolution, when you see this logo in color, in black and white, like, it will make sense. These are not good examples. But when you have this many colors, this many values, it's never going to work. This is an interesting shape to have the 3 cups and the logo, but you gotta play with it more. This is not done. This is not done at all. So very quickly, let's see what will happen if I play with this. Okay, so this, you can see, no bueno, things are locked, you don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. And if I don't know what's going on, nobody knows what's going on, usually. That's a joke. Alright, so it's gonna make everything white. Alright, so there, you got a circle with a stroke on it. That can screw you up. I would just try to make the circle the right size and not have a stroke, just have a fill. All of this. Like, make it one or the other. It can't be both. It can't be all things if you're just making a logo, I would say. Okay, so that's not looking very good. Okay, but I didn't get all my pieces here, but try to do more with less. That is my overall comment on everything. Alright, this stuff not being groups, killing me. Killing me. All this stuff always need to be groups, but it doesn't matter because we're going to delete this shit anyway. I'm leaving the circles, some of them, because you have circles like these snowballs, which are not proper. I'm just doing this to do it. But these circles are the same as these circles. They're just circles. Like, they're those generic shapes that we're using to tell the story of whatever. But suddenly, clearing out some of this stuff makes it feel less confusing. You still have some color variety with this going on, but it's not as overwhelming as it was. Like, for me, what it was, this is too much. It's trying to do too much. This is smaller, simple. So when I said, look back at your original inspirations, like, look what they have. They have red, white, and blue. They have multiple fonts here, it looks like, but really, this is Futura, it looks like, and this is like a condensed capital Futura, and then this is something else. Okay, this sliced, whatever, who cares? But it's simple. It's very, very simple. Their shape, instead of a circle like on this one, what I went with, is this explodey thing, and then they have the explodey thing all over, and they're all unique, so it makes it feel a little bit more special. These circles don't require artwork or like modification, so it's very easy, and it's simple to say that they, it's easier for your brain to see that they go together a little bit more. Um, but this one is definitely not working, I would say. I know you spent time on it, but I'm gonna say it's not working. It's not working. And I think I want you to get away from using these default swatches so much. Like, it's fine to use swatches, but at least go and like look up a color scheme that's customized and different than just using, the first red, first blue, or whatever that comes up. Because that's gonna like fall into this trap of everything looking the same from every person who opens Illustrator, because the first color after, white, black, then it's red. CMYK red, which is fine, but I don't know. It just seems like a red flag to me. Oh, it's red flag, whatever. This one seems different than what you originally posted, which is good. I like the added cup detail, but now it's too realistic compared to the stylized blobbiness of this snow cone, I would say. And the snow cone, again, this all goes back to it not matching your original, like the scope of the project being that like mound of snow or shaved ice. The cooler shaved ice looks a little, or original snowballs looks better, but what I would do is, like, you don't really want to intersect your logo, in my opinion, with a graphic element. Does that make sense? Like, it's either part of the logo and there on purpose, or it's part of the background. That should make sense. Like, don't put shit on top of, behind, in front of a logo. A logo is like the essence of the product, of the client, of everything. And once you do that, you kind of break it. So don't do that. I think these are also like reduce stars by half. You could probably do something interesting by letting them break into the frame from the other one. So it's not like, it just feels divided so much for no reason, which is kind of rough on my eyes. Oh, let's try the zigzag on here. The shapes are just a little bit too big, is my problem with them. It needs more definition or something. Like, I don't know if this is snow falling and it's landing into the cup, or like what your intention was, but I would say have your intentions be clear and not confusing. Delete, 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 delete. Fewer the better. The fewer the better, for real. Like, I don't know. That's one thing that is definitely a amateur design mistake, and I make it all the time myself. Each one of these needs to be unique, at least rotated uniquely. Like, none of them can be the same. They should all have unique scales, everything. They should be original clicky, pointy things. They really should be. Delete, delete. Who knows, maybe that one's there. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just playing around to show you other ideas. But now you at least have a consistent, cooler branding going on. I don't particularly like this portion of it or whatever, but that's fine. You can play with that later on. I think one of my comments was going to be, oh, for this one, like, put some dimensionality into the snow cone stuff. Like, they're proud of their not snow cone, but snowball. It's specific. It ends up looking a different way. So you can see every single one of these has a cone on it. So that will be what they're looking at. And other details to look at, every single one of them has like different ridges. And this is definitely like a snow cone. So I would revamp this artwork for sure, but like add in some dimensions from the ice chunks and stuff. And you can do that a lot of different ways. You can do it by placing tons of small shapes. I don't care how you do it, but you want to have it not quite be so flat. Like this is the logo, that's where it can be flat. But once you get to starting to show ice, like this looks like a light bulb, for instance. But if you start putting in small little circles, oh, this is killing me. This is killing me. It really, really is. This is really hurting me. You gotta make sure your stuff is on one artboard. I'm putting it onto this markups. Okay, so there's one, and when you have one thing, it looks like a specular highlight, so something is shiny, but if you start putting more, then it's like, oh, suddenly what's going on here? We're building up a texture, which is like one of those super basic things we talked about the first day we hung out. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not hard. That's not very hard at all. And they're just circles, so it's really easy to not worry about it. But he definitely doesn't look like a light bulb as much anymore. Maybe he still does because this was like wires on his face. But we're not doing mascots, we're doing logos. You got to get away, like, you lean on drawings when you're drawing, but for this design stuff, don't draw, I guess. Don't draw. It's too confusing. So this one, I would scratch this whole one as well. Don't do this. I like showing the different colors. Maybe once you have the updated artwork, you could make one that has different varieties of them. I don't feel like this is the font. Not looking very good. Okay, this is, let's just keep going through. Let's call that one done. The stroke around the text. I'm willing to bet that none of these have a stroke around the text. None of these designs will have a stroke around the text. They have a sort of stroke. I would call it a pinstripe, but it's a different, like it's a style. It's not a black stroke around white text on a colored background. We're just going through quick. These are like fake drop shadows. That doesn't count. These are like offset printing fakeness, so that doesn't count, and drop shadows. So if you want to do something like that, you can do drop shadows, but don't. This stroke does not look good. I'm gonna copy, gonna paste. I'm gonna move it down and over, and I'll just make it black. There. Like, that's suddenly more 50s looking, or whatever. This red. Too hard to read. It was like vibrating on my eyes. This doesn't quite work anymore, in my opinion. It almost feels like it needs a color field behind it or something. But, like, I did nothing there. I did nothing really other than a little bit of work, and in my opinion, this looks 1,000 times better than this. In my opinion, I don't know, but this is not a complete idea. It's like, let's go to the cooler, you could say. Let's go get a snowball, you could say. But this, having the cooler and then a 50s drawn car, is not selling their product at all. Like, it's an unfinished idea. So this one is not done. Okay. Alright, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. I think what I would do is switch these words. And once you start getting into this land where you're using the shape warps and stuff, that's fine. But it's really hard to understand what's going on because where you're placing this text is not where it's going to end up. So type, create outlines. Oh my god. Expand appearance. There we go. But now you know exactly where this thing is going to go, and you're not confused. Alright, emails come in, gotta address them, gotta jump on them, gotta get all over the place, and I'm already all over the place, so this is added crazy. More emails and more chats, like it goes crazy some days. Okay, this is going to be a conversation about reducing shit. So, hey, you got these grouped, good job. Just divide them by half. Like, you have a tendency to do too many. These are also kind of fat, I would call them, and none of them are in the blue. Like, the fact that none of them are in the blue is the biggest problem I'm having with this whole thing. Because it doesn't feel connected. It doesn't feel unified or part of the same thing. It feels like separate ideas with a chunk in the middle. Also, this blue and this banner thing, just not working on this one. It's not quite working. It's the whole cooler logo, I'd say, is not working. So if it doesn't work, like, it's easier to just delete stuff and start over than to try to fix everything. But already right there, it's stronger. It's much stronger because you reduce the colors. Now you just have red, white, and blue plus yellow, but that's fine. It looks more like it should. It looks like more like what I think you're trying to get stuff to look like. But bigger, more graphic is good. This font is really hard to read, honestly. I don't think it's very successful. This one is too easy to read. Let's just see what happens if we do something like this. Not bad. This font goes well with these stars, but there's just too much stuff going on there now. Undo, end up deleting it, who cares? But this, you're gonna have to redo the shape. These mountain shapes feel really arbitrary. Like, it doesn't have a purpose to me. I think you're trying to go for like mountaintop sort of, but I'd say this is more successful than this one. These shapes with the mountaintops might work better once these are like cone shaped things. Wow. But you can see going from this one, now looking at this one, there's just like so much stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on here. You can start to see like how simpler is better. Try to do more with less. I think this font is too much of the Icy font, like the brand of Icy, and that's not allowed. Like, this is legitimately the Icy font pretty much. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's just the ice on the side of the thing at the gas station. Who knows? But when you do logos, okay, so this is turning into you're doing 3 posters and you're going to do 3 logos. Because how many logo ideas do you have here? There's just like too many. So really, before you get to the posters, you want to nail down your logo. And I added that at the end, but I'm trying to understand this whole thing as I go. And I'm not a teacher. I'm not a design teacher. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to help. This font's just hard to read. And okay, this is another thing. When I say make 3 posters, I want 3 posters to look like brothers and sisters, like they're from the same family. So that means that they would have the same logo. They would have the same fonts. They would have the same colors. They would have the same like visual hierarchy defined and used. These are all different. Like these are all inconsistent. These ones, this is not 2 posters. This is like almost a logo, but not quite. Like this is close to what I'd want, but still more variation. So I guess this one sort of and this one sort of kind of relate because they have these weird mountains, but you know, I don't know. You can do more than just put a warp on the text. I know you can do that. You shouldn't really need to warp your text anyway, in my opinion. I don't know. It gets hard, but you definitely need to like step on the gas at iterating. Like your iteration cycle is very slow. Like I don't remember the day we started these, but it's been over a week and they don't look any different. Really? Let me open up the your hands project. I'm going to talk about your Behance thing on here too. Like I'm going to jump around just as much as I do in real life, but I'm going to copy this picture and I'm going to paste it into here and we're going to put it side by side and like see what's different. Okay, so some stuff is different. It looked like really the only thing you did different from what you posted and today is that you changed this to blue. Really? I guess you had this resolution on the cup before. I mean, that's fine, but like you did not add any more time. You didn't increase the value of this artwork much more. And there was nothing else posted, so I have no idea what your other ones looked like at that time. Alright. When you post to Behance, like it can't just be this giant photograph. Like this looks bad. You need to talk about what you did and why you did it and what you're inspired by, who the client was, and like right here you have a tiny caption, one of a few design ideas for a frozen treat spot called The Cooler. That's okay thing to say, but you got to expand on that. This is like you're writing and emailing, practicing. You got to expand on that and put that information up front so people can read it and they know what's going on. When you say it's one of design, like show the rest of the designs. Don't just have one. Like that either implies that they are worse than this one or that they were never finished. And that like people will not trust you. I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing where this is dumping this on Behance right now. You're just wasting your time, in my opinion. You should not put anything on Behance yet. Like nothing is ready. Nothing is there. that when people look through here, they're going to see it and want to click on that. You know, like you gotta grab someone. And on yours, it's a very, very, it doesn't look very good. It looks like this. This is what people see. Is a incomplete, not good idea. And that is like, it's like when you go to a restaurant and you get bad food, you start to think that that restaurant only makes bad food. And you don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. I want to also talk about these. These are not done, so I would not post them. You need to disable this shit. Like, turn it off, and you need to rework these until they're done. Like, done, and then have... If you're going to have multiple ones, they need to have a bigger difference than the ball being in front and a little bit more up there. Like, these two are way too much the same, but still all of these are too much the same because the text has not changed or modified or anything like that. This shells one feels like you need way more stuff going on. It's not done. This Giants one, this green color is not neon enough for this one. It doesn't match. Like, it should be, feels like to me you should relate them. So go through and you need to start turning some of these projects off. This is not done. This project is not done. I don't know if you have After Effects, you've been working on it at home. Like, it's okay to get stuff on there, but it's also okay to not put everything you do on there. The sketch, not done. But the sketch is better than these other ones. I guess leave it. I don't know. But you need to provide more information. Like, more... It's just a drawing at that point. And then you should just make a Tumblr if you're just going to post drawings, in my opinion. Turn this one off. You need to flesh out this one. Get the final video. Email those people and post that first. Start giving these things headlines as well, because it's not presented well. Turn this one off. Turn this one off. I'd turn this one off. Turn that one off. Turn this one off. You just want to get to better stuff faster. Okay, here, this is... I don't know if you're choosing thumbnails or if the computer is automatically making them. I assume the computer is. But what you need to do when this happens is, like, this one almost works, but if you zoom in, this doesn't get much bigger because it's a thumbnail. You've got these words are kind of being cut off and this artwork is being cut off. You just want to, like, have it be uniform on both sides. This N is not cut off, but this P is, like, right at the edge. So you might have to make a custom thumbnail for every project you post, and that's just how it goes. This does not look good. This does not look good. This doesn't... This is okay. This is close. This one's close, but this looks borderline bad. I would not... Like, you gotta turn that off. This is better, but still, like, if custom thumbnail could maybe fix this if you get his whole head into there. Like, there's just some, like, lazy cropping feelings going on. Like, this one, her head is chopped off, but the head is where the most detail is. So I don't know if you can change your thumbnail settings or what, but that is something you really need to start paying attention to. This one sort of works, but you see there's space right here, and this guy's head is getting chopped off. Get it fixed. Like, fix that stuff. It'll really matter. This one works. Like, all the information, the most important information is in the frame. Yeah, the whole photo thing that we talked about before. This is something, but not really. Like, if you're trying to get a job doing drawings like that, that's fine. You can do that, but you're not going to make money for 12 years. Like, you're never going to make money doing that. And not because you're not good. It's because people don't pay for that stuff. That's what the real problem is. With design, you're supposed to be able to make money. Supposed to. But I'm practically working for you for free. So, keep working on these. These are not done. You've been tasked with making 3 logos. 3 separate logos, and you can't use anything I've made. You can't do this. This is stolen. That idea has been taken. You can't do this. I just stole that idea. You gotta do more custom original stuff. Make one of those logos not have a custom font. Like, make it be a traditional typography font. And my stupid freaking folders. Let's go and get organized more. You know me and my crazy folders. My R&D. My font finder file. Something on this list. Something more like traditional, like more rigid. Maybe Rockwell would work. But try to get, this is me, this is what I do. I find fonts I like and then I set them up so I can just copy them into a file and get going. But that's stuff you guys start doing for yourself. It's like finding your voice and your brand, and you won't always be able to go and just download font by name set in the era. Like, that's not always going to be an option. And it really shouldn't be an option. You should try to make a font or make a logo work with the actual, like, Arial. You should just use Arial or some super basic font and get it to work. And you'll be surprised at what you can learn when you start getting rid of this, because this is like visual noise in a lot of ways, just like when there's too many stars and stuff. Reduce that, get back to the basics and do something simpler. Like, this looks better minus this stupid border that I have or whatever. But, you know, do have to step on the gas because you're behind, very, very behind. And I'm trying to get you ahead, trying to get you very, very ahead. Well, keep working on stuff. Good job.